Hi people, welcome to the Run Testers, and we've got a head-to-head here between two big hitters in their respective brand lineups. We've got the New Balance 1080 V14 and the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27. These are two daily trainers that aim to bring guaranteed comfort to your everyday miles, particularly at the easier end of your pace range. So which of these is the best shoe for you? Which is our favourite? Well, we've logged the test miles and we're happy to answer exactly that. So let's get into it in the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27 versus the New Balance 1080 V14 head-to-head review. Starting with some stack details then, the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27 now packs in more foam underfoot, rising to 43.5mm in the heel, 35.5mm in the forefoot for an 8mm drop. Meanwhile, the New Balance 1080 V14 has 38mm in the heel, 32mm in the forefoot for a shallower 6mm drop. On the scales, the New Balance 1080 V14 has put on a bit of weight. It now tips the scales at 10.1 ounces or 285 grams in our UK men's 8.5 test shoe. Meanwhile, the latest Nimbus is marginally lighter than the Nimbus 26, despite being bigger stack, but it's still heavier than the 1080 V14 at 10.8 ounces or 307 grams. On price, these both come in at $165 in the US. The Nimbus 27, however, is £180 in the UK, while the 1080 V14 is $160, so a bit cheaper. Let's give you a quick comparison then, and the first thing you spot here is the size of the Nimbus. It's bigger, it's wider, it's bulkier. It kind of makes the 1080 V14 sort of instantly look a bit more compact. Now, the Nimbus 27 prioritises plush comfort with a thick slab of Flight Foam Blast plus Eco Foam underfoot. ASICS, as I said, has added 1.5mm across the stack here for an even more cushioned ride. The platform is wider in the heel and the forefoot than you'll get with the 1080 V14. There's also a pure gel heel insert to improve shock absorption, particularly for heel strikers. Now, the New Balance 1080 V14 sticks with a more conservative stack of Fresh Foam X, also with a rockered midsole. And while the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27 shoots for extra protection, the 1080 V14 has kind of gone the other way with a firmer feel and a snappier return than the 1080 V13. Up top, the Nimbus 27 has a new mesh upper that successfully balances breathability with a snug supportive fit. The 1080 V14 also has engineered mesh uppers, which are more hugging with less flex in the toe box. That makes for a more wrapped, less airy fit overall. Both shoes have generously padded heel collars and gusseted tongues. The Nimbus 27's knitted tongues are thinner and a bit floppier, while the 1080 V14 goes for that kind of full comfort padding, which is nice and thick, sort of stays put really well. On the outsole, there's about the same covering of protective rubber, generally speaking. The Nimbus 27 has a good covering of AHA Plus, which is ASIC's grippiest outsole compound. The New Balance 1080 V14 outsole has like a horseshoe of rubber around the mid to forefoot and this kind of single pad of protective rubber in the middle. And you've got a couple of kind of crash pads, rubber patches on the heels to boost that kind of durability. They're a bit thicker than I think you got on the V13. When it comes to fit, I run in a UK 8.5, which is my regular UK size in both these shoes. Though in the US, the ASICS is a 9.5 and the New Balance comes in at a 9. So if you're comparing the weights, you might want to consider that. The biggest thing though to note here on the fit is that the New Balance 1080 V14 is really snug in that UK size. Makes for good hold and security, but if like me you've got quite high feet or kind of wide feet, they do feel a bit cramped, particularly across the top of the midfoot and in and around those toe knuckles. The Nimbus 27 is roomier and more accommodating with plenty of length and wiggle room in the toe box. It's kind of an ideal fit for shoes that you might choose for longer, easier miles when you're going to be out there for a bit more time on feet. But overall, I would recommend going true to size in both shoes, though I think some might want to consider going half a size up or the wide option in the New Balance for a roomier fit.
So when it comes to the fit of the two shoes, I've got my normal UK 9 in both. With ASICS, that's a US 10, and with New Balance, that's a US 9.5. So in general, the New Balance is a little bit smaller when you're looking at those US sizes, but UK 9 is what I use with both of these brands in general, and both have fit me really well in that size. So the ASICS has the roomier fit in general, not just because it's a slightly bigger shoe in the US. I think it's just got a lot more volume in the forefoot of the shoe. So as someone with a narrow foot, I probably have a little bit too much space there, but it's not a problem, and the length is right. I wouldn't want to go half a size down. You know, with shoes that I would position more as easy day daily trainers like this, I think I like to have that little bit of extra room, and the fit's been really good for me in my normal size. No concerns about the hold around the heel or midfoot. All been very comfortable, very padded shoes as you'd expect. correct. And yeah, I would stick to your normal running shoe size.
So the fit for me in these two shoes is actually pretty similar as you would expect from two shoes that are designed to be comfortable, cushioned, and used for those daily cushioned, comfortable miles. So I get a very similar fit from both of these shoes. I'm a size 8 in the UK. I definitely would stay to my size in the 1080 V18. Plenty of space in the forefoot. It's got this nice, slightly stretchy upper as well, so it's very comfortable. And there's plenty of space around the side of the foot for me, but you get a good lockdown in the midfoot. It's also got a very nice level of cushioning. There's not too much in the ankle collar, but there's plenty. It's a very comfortable shoe to wear. I've had no issues with slippage or anything like that, so I'd definitely stay to my size 8 in the 1080 V14. The Gel Nimbus 27, again, plenty of space in the forefoot for me. Plenty of space around the forefoot. It's got a lovely stretchy upper as well, really designed to be comfortable and give you a nice ride with lots of space in it. Again, plenty of nice lockdown in the midfoot and loads of padding around the heel collar as well. So I'd definitely stay to my size in both of these shoes. They're very, very comfortable and I have had no issues at all in the runs that I've done in them.
So in testing, I've run more than 40 miles in the New Balance 1080 V14. That's mostly easy plodding with some runs up to 90 minutes. I've run north of 30 miles in the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27, including a 2-hour effort to test that long haul comfort. I've tested both of these shoes across the same range of paces, covering slow and easy long runs right up to faster paces on progression runs. As usual, I've run mainly on the road, but I have thrown in some light off-road too to test the stability, and it's just where I run. So anyway, both feature large cushioned platforms that are designed to absorb the road impact and protect your feet over the long miles. However, the ASICS Gel Nimbus really takes that softness, I think, to another level with that extra stack. This generation is just as Nimbusy as the previous generations. If you like that before, you're going to like it still here. The plush feel underfoot creates a sort of highly protective ride, but overall I find it lacks the agility and the quicker return that you might get with a New Balance 1080 V14. The 1080 V14 stiffer midsole-outsole combo offers some extra resilience and immediacy. I found that made for sort of smoother transitions and a much quicker response than you'll get with the Nimbus 27, which can be a bit laboured, it's a bit slappy, it's a bit noisy. The New Balance 1080 V14 definitely feels more at home when you move up through the gears than the Nimbus 27, though it still wouldn't be my first choice for pushing the higher paces. Both shoes, I think, are just perfect for those days when you want to hit the road and you want the road to disappear underfoot. Those runs where you're kind of cruising long and easy, or just easy, and you need to feel cocooned with guaranteed comfort. On durability, both shoes, to me, feel built to conquer big miles. I've seen little signs of wear and tear for the miles that I've put in, and I have no worries about either as a daily use trainer that will keep going for hundreds of miles.
So the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27 and the New Balance 1080 V14 are both cushioned daily trainers that I've enjoyed running in this year. I think they are both best suited to kind of daily easy runs, long runs, maybe occasional slightly faster thing, but mostly I'd use them for easy runs, and they both do a good job of that, but they have quite different approaches, I would say, to those runs. ASICS is very much a maxed out cushioned cruiser. You've got a bigger stack height on the shoe, a bigger shoe in general, and a wider shoe as well that has a bit more of a focus on stability than the New Balance, I would say. And it does a really good job of protecting the legs and the body on those easy runs. It can soak up a lot of miles for sure. It's got a slightly stiffer feeling to the ride than New Balance as well, is something I noticed, and that does actually mean the transition is a bit faster than you might expect from a shoe like this. I have done a faster run in this shoe and I did enjoy it. I still do think, like I say, that it's one that's really at its best for those easy runs and long runs and just soaking up miles, but has perhaps a surprising amount of versatility for what is a big and pretty heavy shoe all round. New Balance, though, I think is the slightly more versatile shoe if you're looking for that in your cushion daily trainer. It's got a nimbler and thinner design all round. Like when you just put the shoes on together, you can really feel that this is just a smaller shoe. It hasn't got that big extra width for stability, though I don't think it's an unstable shoe, I'd say that for sure. And in general, it's just a bit lower stack and a bit narrower all round. It also has more of a rocker ride, and I found it's a shoe that disappeared on the foot a bit better than the ASICS. When I pulled on the New Balance, I found I could just go and enjoy my runs without really thinking about my shoe too much. The rocker works quite well for me in smoothing out the transition from heel to toe, and I think the foam is a little bit softer and livelier than the foam on the ASICS as well. I think it's just a slightly more enjoyable ride all round for me with that rocker, the foam, and the slightly smaller design of the shoe. Again, it's a shoe I think that's mostly best for easy runs, but you can pick up the pace in the New Balance as well. I think rather than having the kind of stiffer feeling you get from the ASICS, which I find helps move a bit faster, it's got just a smaller design, a lighter design, and that effective rocker. And the foam gives you a little bit more response off the toes, I would say, than the ASICS. If you are looking for a shoe that can pick up some tempo runs, some faster long runs, even if you're looking maybe for a first marathon racing shoe and you're mostly focused on comfort, I think New Balance would be the better option on all those counts, just because it does feel a bit livelier underfoot than the ASICS. Did do a run in both shoes at the same time, just a short one, just to see how they felt at exactly the same time on the run, and you can feel the smaller size of the New Balance for sure when you're out running in it. It does tick over a bit more smoothly, like I say, and I think you have a slightly softer and bouncier feeling under the forefoot. I think at the back of the shoe they are both very soft and comfortable. Got a slightly slappier ride with the ASICS. The rubber used on the Nimbus 27 is certainly very loud and slappy as well, and that does create a slightly different feeling to the ride, and it's a bit more kind of forceful coming onto your forefoot. But I think actually the rolling, smoother ride of the New Balance is the one that I prefer, and also the fact it's not quite as loud.
So these two shoes are pretty similar for what you would use them for, but the actual, it comes down to the ride for me. The 1080 V14, I really like the 1080 V13. I like soft shoes. I use that shoe exclusively for easy runs and recovery runs. It didn't have a lot of bounce in it. It was actually quite sluggish because the softness of the midsole. So I really like that shoe, but for a very specific purpose. A lot of people didn't like that shoe because it lost a bit of stability, and also it wasn't particularly versatile because of that soft midsole. The 1080 V14, it's gone back to a more balanced midsole, so it's not as soft as the 1080 V13. It's still not a massively firm midsole, but it is more so than the V13. So it's a bit more balanced. You can use it for easy runs, daily runs, but it's a bit more versatile as well. So if you're getting one pair of shoes and you were just training in those, and maybe you were going to do a half marathon or a 10K or something, and you wanted something solid, reliable and balanced, and you wanted to cross the finish line in comfort, it's a good shoe for that. It's a good all-rounder now. It's a very comfortable shoe to wear, and it's also very stable as well for a daily cushion shoe when you compare it to something like the 1080 V13, which wasn't particularly stable. So solid all-round shoe. It's not a wow shoe for me. It doesn't really do anything exceptionally. It's not a fast shoe. It's not a really comfortable easy day shoe, but it sits in that middle perfectly, which is what the 1080 V14 is meant to do. New Balance has loads of other shoes that do the extremes, do faster running, do more comfortable running. New Balance More V5 is one of my favourite shoes of all time, as are the previous versions of it, just because it's really soft and comfortable and great for those easy runs and longer runs. Whereas this sits in the middle, where it's not particularly doing anything extreme. It's just solid, sits there comfortably, and everyone should be happy with it. The Gel Nimbus 27, similar in some ways. You're getting this sort of balanced midsole foam in it, a lot of cushioning in it, but for me it's not as comfortable to run in as the 1080 V14. What I find about the 1080 V14 is it's got a nice smooth motion when you're running in it. It's got a pretty good turnover and feels quite comfortable to run at a nice consistent pace at. Gel Nimbus 27 for me, it does feel comfortable to run in, but I don't get a really nice transition from the shoe. It does feel quite like it's hitting the floor dead on, and I'm not really getting a nice rolling action from it. It's really not a shoe that I would use if I was using it for training miles. If I was marathon training and I had to do like a 24K run or something as part of my marathon training plan, I wouldn't use this shoe, because I don't feel like it would give me a lot of help in doing that. It feels like it's just a nice comfortable wedge of midsole foam you're hitting the ground with. Nice, it's minimizing the impact, but then you're just taking off again without it really smoothly moving you through. I think that's because I hit it on the mid. I'm a midfoot striker, and I don't think I'm getting the right. I'm getting any benefits from hitting it in the midfoot, and it does slap a lot when I'm running in it as well. So it's a comfortable shoe to run in. I think it's a very good easy day shoe, but for anything where you're trying to get some performance benefits, a longer run, a faster run, I don't think you're going to get it from the Gel Nimbus 27. It's really a shoe all about comfort and cushioning. Another thing I'd say about these shoes as well is the outsole is pretty comparable on both of these shoes. There's a good level of rubber on both of these, with quite a bit of exposed midsole in the middle section of both. I've not seen any signs of wear or tear on the 1080 V14 yet, but I have on the Nimbus 27. It does seem to be rubbing the midsole quite a bit. It's not worn down a lot, but it's definitely, this rubber isn't as thick as you're getting on the 1080 V14, so it's probably a little bit less durable for me than the 1080 V14, but not bad rubber on either. I've not had any problems with slippage or anything like that. I just think that this outsole's probably not as thick as I'd like on a daily cushion shoe. So my verdict on these two shoes, pretty similar design and focus for what these shoes are. They're meant to be comfortable, cushioned, accessible shoes that people can use for their daily runs. But when it comes to daily runs, I want a bit more versatility. I want a shoe that feels like I can go and do longer miles in it. I could use it for my marathon training, things like that. So I would say that the Gel Nimbus 27 is really just an easy day shoe, recovery run shoe. It's not really got any performance elements to it, but it's fine. It just doesn't really work particularly well for my running style. I've got shoes that I'd much rather wear that are quite heavily cushioned instead of the Nimbus 27. Things like the New Balance More V5, which I really enjoy running in. I don't necessarily enjoy running in the Gel Nimbus 27 that much. The New Balance 1080 V18, I think it's just a more versatile shoe. I think you can do a bit more in it. I think it is a shoe that you could, if you were buying one shoe, you could do a lot more in this shoe because of the way that the transition works, because it just feels like it's a more balanced shoe. So I'm going to go for the New Balance 1080 V14 all the way on this Versus.
It comes to my verdict on these two shoes. The New Balance 1080 V14 is the one I prefer, and that's a lot down to my run preferences. I like a more rocketed shoe. I like a slightly smaller shoe. I still think it's a very cushioned and comfortable shoe all round. Certainly does the job on that front, but it also has just a slightly nimbler feeling than the ASICS and that rocketed ride. I think if you're looking for one of these two shoes to do a wide range of runs, to be a cushioned daily trainer that you might want to do a bit of everything in, the New Balance would be the better choice. The ASICS is more focused on comfort, protection and stability. Don't really think it's any more comfortable than the New Balance despite the high stack, but I do think it's a more stable shoe, and that will help for those who don't want a full stability shoe like the Kano but want a bit of extra support. You get that with the Nimbus 27 for sure. You do get a lot of comfort as well. It might be the case that heavier runners even prefer the Gel Nimbus 27 because of that extra support there, but I do think the New Balance 1080 V14 is still a stable, comfortable shoe, all the kind of things you expect from a big cushioned daily trainer like this. It's just the ASICS have pushed it onto another level, which some people might like. In the UK, I think it's a slightly easier call because the price difference is a bit odd with the way ASICS has priced the shoe, so the New Balance is cheaper, and I would definitely opt to get that. In the US, you've got the same kind of price. Really will come down to maybe your preference in ride feel, how much cushioning you like, whether you want that extra support. All round, though, I do think New Balance is the better shoe overall, and the one I would get really for any kind of purpose. But if you do just want a flat out, stable, cushioned cruiser, maybe the Gel Nimbus might take your fancy a little bit more.
Verdict then, and I think you've got two capable daily trainers here, both at the more cushioned end of the spectrum. In the general scheme of running shoes, they perform better at the slower and easier end of things rather than the faster paces. But for me, the more compact, lighter, more agile and snappier ride makes the New Balance 1080 V14 the more versatile option. The heft of the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27 somewhat limits it to the lower pace runs for me. It does that job very well in a classic Nimbus way, but if you want a shoe that can tick up the gears a bit, the 1080 V14 I think is a better option. However, if all you need is smooth, protective, road-eating comfort for your easiest of easy miles, the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27 probably delivers a bit more of that if you don't mind the bigger shoe. The New Balance 1080 V14 caters for that kind of running as well, but for bigger or heavier runners, the broader base, higher stack of the Nimbus might suit better. But if I had to choose one shoe, I'd pick the New Balance 1080 V14 based on the versatility and the value. There's enough cushion to go slow, but the lighter feel and the more responsive ride make it better when you want to move with more intent. If you're not sold on either of these shoes, other shoes that I'd probably seriously consider taking a look at that can cover similar runs would be the Brooks Glycerin 22, maybe the Saucony Ride 17, even the ASICS Nova Blast 5, Adidas Supernova Prima, list goes on, Pegasus 41 from Nike, Brooks Glycerin Max. All of these can cover the same kinds of runs, alternatives to the Nimbus 27 and New Balance 1080 V14. So there you have it. That's been our head-to-head between the New Balance 1080 V14 and the ASICS Gel Nimbus 27. Hope you found it useful. Give us a like if you did. Maybe hit the subscribe button if you're not already, and ring the bell to hear when other reviews land. If you're interested in the deeper reviews of both of these shoes, I'm going to stick those up on the screen now. Otherwise, as ever, thank you very much for stopping by, and until next time, happy running, people.